You are listening to the USDN on the DFPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. Imagine waking up in a prison, no memory of who you are, how you got there, or what crime you may have committed. Around you are thousands of prisoners living the same existence, watching, waiting, surviving. At the center of it all stands a black tower. No windows and no answers. No way to know if someone is watching or if anyone is watching at all. But that's the terrifying part, because eventually you stop needing the guards. You become your own prison. And tonight we're diving into the Panopticon.
Yeah. You got it.
A psychological science fiction mystery that explores surveillance, memory, identity, freedom, and the systems that shape the way we live. Joining us is writer, artist, creator Matt Stevens, the mind behind the Panopticon and Dark Web Comics. We're going to be discussing creator-owned publishing, Kickstarter, Worldbuilding, indie comics, and why centuries-old idea about observation may be more relevant today than it ever was before. Ladies and gentlemen, pull up your easy chairs, get you some popcorn, because the Council of Nerds is now in session. Matt, welcome to the USDN, my friend.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Same. And
Yeah, man.
I've been telling everybody lately, I'm like, dude, like every time I get to a certain part of the month, I'm like, been waiting for this one, especially when I remember who and what project it was, because being booked months in advance, I sometimes don't realize what project is actually coming up until like the week prior, when I start sending out the emails just to confirm everything. And then I got to yours and I was like, I'm excited for this one.
That's awesome.
It's just such a fun concept.
Yeah, we talked a couple months ago for the first time, so yeah, I've been looking forward to it. But thank you. Yeah, the concept. Super pumped about it. It just felt right.
It is such a unique concept. Before we jump into the concept of the book, let's learn about who you are. So, who is Matt Stevens, and kind of what got you into comic books to begin with?
Yeah, so I'm I live in Connecticut. I'm a high school art teacher. I've been doing that for 22 years. And so like my life is talking about art, teaching kids about art, getting them like excited about art and making art. And that's like my day.
Dude, that's awesome.
Just coming from art from all different points, and it's really fulfilling. I just absolutely love it. I also get summers off, so I get to draw even more over the summer, which, bonus.
So do y'all get paid over the summer, or do you only get paid for half of it, and then you have to find another way to make ends meet during the rest of the summer?
You get paid all year.
Okay.
But yeah, we get paid all year. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it just kind of depends on how you slice it. Like my wife's a teacher too. She gets paid 10 months out of the year, and then she gets a big bulk check in actually this week, which is all of her summer money, but it's like one big check
Yeah.
of the next 2 months. So
So
it
the
is
next
all.
few dinner dates are on her.
Then yeah, that's on us to like don't spend it all. But yeah, so like that's kind of my day. I draw every day. For I think about it like working out.
Mhm.
The days off are the rare days when I just can't fit into my
Yeah.
schedule. But it's just a discipline that I do every day. I try to do a page a day, and by that I mean I'm either sketching a page or I'm inking a page or I'm adding color. So that in my mind that's a page.
Yeah.
Um, one pass through on a page at least a day. And if I do that, there's a real nice sense of there's a sense of comfort in that, knowing that at the end of the week I've got two or three pages done every
Yeah.
week. And then I can kind of plan out my year like that. I can say, oh well, I'll have this much done by October. So
Mhm.
when I'm planning out my year, I can just be like, I can kind of figure out where I'm going to be in October,
Yeah.
when I'm going to have free time, when I can take on something new, when I can, shift gears to something else. So
I mean,
yeah,
that's allowing you to put out what, 2 to 3 books a year if
four.
you did it that way. 4. Okay, yeah, so 1 a quarter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Four-ish. And it's funny. That's one of the reasons why I wrote this story as I wrote it in 22 page issues or arcs. I mean, the graphic novel that's on Kickstarter is 88 pages, but I
Mhm.
wrote it as for 22 page issues. And I can do 22 pages in 3 months. Including a cover, including adding the text and the speech bubbles and the
Yeah.
SFX and all that stuff. So um yeah.
That's awesome because it brings us to our next question as well is when you whether you discovered you had this talent for art or what have you, were you an artist first, a writer first, or did it kind of for you kind of like fall hand in hand with each other at that moment?
Yeah, dude, that's such a good question. Uh I I started out as an artist. I went to school for illustration, so I got a bachelor's in fine art. And I was an illustrator for years, as a sort of a side hustle.
Mhm.
I still am. Doing just projects for other people, magazines and
Yeah.
books, and uh, just all sorts of odd, weird things. Covers and all
Yeah.
sorts of things that come at restaurants. I mean, God, the crazy stuff that's come along, but really fun. But it was always for other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and you know, I just started feeling like I wanted to make art that was from my head, and
Mhm.
I think I'm kind of a late bloomer in that way. I always make I've got a studio full of single image drawings,
Mhm.
and I loved doing that, like just a
Yeah.
single image that tells a story, but it's up to the viewer to interpret it.
Mhm.
I love doing that, and I'll always do that. Um, but I think just as I got older, I wanted to tell longer stories, and
Yeah.
I've always been a comic reader, and always it just seemed kind of unattainable to me to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Like the comic book artists always to me seemed kind of magical and like, well, how are they doing
Yeah.
how are they conjuring these pages? And
I'm
then
in
I
my
got a
40s and I still see them that way. Like
yeah,
I
it's
still
like
see they're like my heroes, you know.
yeah.
And so anytime I get to meet one, or even like some of my favorite writers out there, or I have an interaction with them on social media, in my head, these are my rock stars.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And like if you really just kind of dig down, those dudes are sitting in a room or wherever they make artwork for hours a day every day.
Yep.
Like it's not like they're I mean, and I include myself in that too. Not the hero part, but the just
Yeah.
the discipline part. Like to make to make long form stuff, it's hundreds of hours, every couple of months to get it out there.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even the stock stuff that they make, like if we use Transformers, for instance, like they've drawn these characters hundreds of times, so they can literally just pull the character out of the book and reuse it somewhere else. But at the same time, it's still spent hours upon hours to do all that legwork. And hopefully maybe in 3, 4, 5, 6 pages from now, you can like, oh, I need that one pose again. Let me just go grab it and pull it over and then work it into the frames or shrink it down, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And even that is still a lot of work.
Oh yeah.
Because you still have to, like, okay, the sun's coming from the west, so I have to now change the shading to look that way. And it is like when I was first dissecting like what it is to be a comic artist or a writer, I was like, they really have to think these real world things. What way is the sun shining? What way are they facing the other person in front of them? How do they see it? And like all those things go into this. What's the weather outside in this scene? And it's just stuff I've read, and I never like put 2 to 2 together to get the 5 out of that until like the last couple of years of me doing this and talking to indie writers and creators and artists and editors and publishers, where my mind started going, it's not this big. It's giant.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of stuff to look at.
Yeah. So true. Like I fluctuate between imposter syndrome and like narcissism, where, on my worst days, I've like, who do I think I am, to, full on narcissism. Like I'm a writer, director, cinematographer, costume designer, set designer. Like I do it all, baby. I speech coordinator, accents, like,
100%.
like you really, as a solo comic creator, you wear all those hats, and the best guys do it just really, really well.
We're us podcasters that ride this out solo are the same way.
Yeah,
because as we deal with artists and writers, well, at least me, from my perspective, is I deal with like everybody within the comic realm to some degree, and there's egos in there, there's all this stuff in there, and I'm like, you're competing with my ego too, and my internal narcissism when it comes to how I am with my show and how I want it to be. I'm like, you're not going to win that battle against me on my show.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to tell me how I'm going to do business.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will make some secessions with you, but at the end of the day, if I don't like it, I ain't going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your show. Yeah. Why do it if you don't,
Yeah. So it's just wild that it's two separate worlds, but we're all putting on all these different hats every single day. So it's really cool whenever I hear that, and I'm just like, God, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was there a moment that made you decide that you're going to create your own worlds instead of just consuming them yourself? Like, were you reading an Amazing Spider-Man one day and go, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to make my own.
You know what it was so we could talk more about this too if you want, but I got a call right at the beginning of COVID from a writer who was looking for an artist, and he had this great story called Digital Pools that he wanted an artist for, so we started collaborating, and we're on issue 10 of Digital Pools, and that is such a wonderful experience to collaborate with somebody. He handles the writing, I handle the art, and we each kind of, it's kind of like a nice, he's such a good writer that my feedback to him is there because I think it's important, but it's really minimal. It's just like, I didn't write it, so let me give you this take on this thing. And he affords me the same courtesy where he lets me make the art, and he has like that 5-10%, like, dude,
Yeah.
you're not seeing this, or this isn't clear, or I really need this pose to be like this. So it's a great collaboration. But my point is, I don't always have pages from him for digital pools, or we're in between things. So the having a solo project has been perfect because, like I said,
Yeah.
I like to have a page a day. I like to have something every day that I'm drawing and moving a project forward. And I was on a walk a couple of years ago listening to a podcast, and the guest mentioned a panopticon and started talking about the definition of it in terms of, I think they were talking about simulation theory or something, but
Mhm.
um, I don't remember what the podcast was about. But I had never heard this word before, and
Yeah.
it
I had
just
to look it up just like you did.
yeah,
So
and it's one of those earworms where it like just kind of sticks in there, and by the end
did I
of the
not tell
walk,
you? I was saying this word all day just to make sure
yeah,
I was saying it right, and B, it's just a fun word to say.
it's a fun word to say. Yeah, it's got a little rhythm to it, panopticon. Um, And by the end of that walk, it was sort of one of those inspiration moments.
Mhm.
It was, top of the funnel moment where all the idea just kind of came in,
Yep.
and anything was possible. And that word just kind of like, it was an hour walk. When I got home, I had the
Yeah.
foundation of this story pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't written by any stretch, but the idea of
The
the single
idea.
celled chamber, mysterious prison, prisoner comes in and has no memory of how he got there. That was there.
This is the perfect segue because we're that's where we're at in this. So for those discovering the Panopticon for the very first time, what is the Panopticon?
Okay, so
It's a
it's
great
actually
segue. I love that. That was
yeah,
perfect.
it's a real thing. It's a real prison. It was invented in the 1700s by this philosopher named Jeremy Bentham, and it was supposed to be a more humane way to house prisoners. So the conceit is that it's a central tower, and that central tower houses the guards, and all of the cells are built in a cylinder around this central tower, and then the common area is down below. If you've ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I think
Mhm.
it's number 2, there's a
Yep.
panopticon in that prison
Yep.
scene. That is a panopticon, their version of it. And so the idea is that the guards can see into every cell because they're centralized, and all the cells are facing the guard tower. So uh, it's constant surveillance. There's no privacy. And Jeremy Bentham thought that this was going to be a more humane way of,
Mhm.
because it would take less guards, and the inmates would police themselves because there was nowhere to hide. And it really turned into, I mean, depending on who you ask, it's basically torture, um,
Yeah.
being under constant surveillance. And then they added this concept of, they made the guard tower blacked out and the cells backlit. So the or the tower lit. So
Mhm.
the inmates couldn't even see the guards, and they didn't know if they were being watched or not. So this idea, explained to me in this podcast, just kind of like blew my
Mhm.
mind up. And so that's what mine is. Mine is a central tower. It's blacked out. It's a single chambered prison, but there's only 7 prisoners. And that's part of the mystery, is that why are there only 7 prisoners in
Yeah.
this big space? And yeah, so that's the panopticon. I could keep going about the story if you want.
Dude, I love it. And we're going to continue, but we're going to ask some more questions about this.
Yeah.
Why make memory such an important part of this story?
I always feel like prison is this weird space in our society, and then on the individual level in an individual's life, where it's kind of it's like for you and me, as we're moving through a day, there's the morning, and then we go
Mhm.
out into the world, and there's that freedom that we take for granted. And I feel
Yeah.
like in prison that goes away. I mean, just your world becomes very small. It's almost like becoming old or something, where you
Yeah.
can't really leave your house. Like, you're just constrained by, in this case, by society. And I imagine what that would do to your memory. Like, things would
Yeah.
get very fuzzy and not crisp and clear. It would just be kind
Mhm.
of, so that was part of it. Like, and there's also a bigger reason, which it gets revealed in the second graphic novel, which isn't out yet, but there's a reason why memory plays into this. All the prisoners don't remember how they got there. And they also don't really, it's not even really discussed what their crimes are, which is intentional. Like, we don't know why they're prisoners. They
Mhm.
don't know why they're prisoners. And they're not even questioning why they're there. So
Yeah.
there's some questions there. And then we have a new prisoner who comes in. He becomes the seventh, replacing a prisoner named Pillory, which we never actually meet in this first graphic novel.
Mhm.
Pillary's gone, and this new character comes in, Itzhak, and he very quickly recognizes that there's something going on with everybody's memory,
Yeah.
including his. But his is in a little bit different way. He's got maybe a little bit more memory, but
Mhm.
not. He still doesn't know why he's there or
It
how he got
almost
there.
sounds like a social experiment to some degree with this whole setup and the way this is being done. I don't know if that's your intention of this being
Yeah,
feeling like a social experiment, but that's the vibe it gives. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Good. So it is there. It is a the parallel to that is that it is a, without giving too much away, it is a kind of a contrived situation. And there is a twist. There's a small twist at the end of the graphic novel, and then there's a
Mhm.
larger twist at the very beginning of the next graphic novel. So we see we see much more of the world in the second one.
I like it, man. Yeah, I'm about to throw you money, dude. And we'll
Awesome.
talk about that a little bit later. But so, what challenges came with building a mystery where readers uncover answers alongside these characters? I mean, you can always flip ahead and like, oh, but there's no fun in that. To be fair, when you're reading a comic book, but don't skip ahead. You take it page by page, right?
Yeah.
But what were some of those challenges in like not putting too much detail in there, but just those breadcrumb in it,
Yeah.
the Hansel and Gretel effect of a comic book, and I love those effects. I love the breadcrumbing of it, the details and the finer points of the story.
So this is my first book, uh my first solo book. So I'm learning as I go. The the reason why I made an 88-page graphic novel instead of doing it issue by issue is because I wanted some lead, so that by the time I got to page 66, I can go back and change issue 1 and add that piece of graffiti on the wall, which is an Easter egg that will tie in later on. So
I love an Easter egg.
yeah, like
Easter eggs are so fun.
halfway through I made scorch marks all around the prison
Mhm.
on the walls, like these sort of Star Wars-esque laser blast scorch
Yeah.
marks. But that wasn't there early on. It just hadn't occurred to me. So it was sort of like a safety net to like make a longer story so I could go back in
Mhm.
and and add those things that didn't occur to me. I think a more experienced uh comic book maker probably would do more of that earlier, but
Yeah.
it's got to be fun for me. So
Yeah.
um that was the way I was going to have the most fun doing this. Like give myself lots of lead time so that I can go back in and populate. Now it's done and kind of set in stone.
Yeah.
But there were three or four things I only occurred to me later on in the story that I had to go back in and redraw. Not really redraw panels, but just kind of add
add some Easter eggs in,
add some Easter eggs, yeah,
add some extra
flavor.
details, and dude, that's so cool. Like I'm blown away by it. Like the idea and the thought of how you did it, and just getting like I can't imagine getting to page 66 of something that I have, written, drawn, colored, penciled, inked, lettered, and did all these things too, and then went back and started looking at it again, like, you know what? I think it needs this, and then go all the way back and start adding these cool little special effects, these little Easter eggs in. Yeah. And I think that's the coolest thing, and that's what's great about being able to do everything yourself and not relying on another person or a teammate who does the drawing and then you doing the writing. Is you get to do everything yourself. You are the man of many hats on this. So
yeah,
right on, man. If I had the talent to do it myself, I would 100% do it myself.
Yeah, there's perks to it. You do have to do everything, but you can steer the ship, and
pay yourself for everything.
Yeah.
You ain't got to worry about paying somebody else. But let me pay that other Matt Stevens, for drawing this.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's talk a little bit about like the surveillance of this thing and the surveillance in modern society, really, because we've seen kind of how this has been playing out. This concept of this is like centuries old with the Panopticon, but it kind of still feels relevant today. Why do you think this idea kind of still resonates today?
So yeah, the story in a lot of ways, one of the major themes is surveillance and the effect that constant surveillance has on the human psyche and what it makes people do. So if you're constantly surveilled and if there's punishment if you do things that aren't approved of, then I think people will start to police themselves, which I know they do. They start to police themselves and will adopt different ways of being based on the fact that they have to police themselves because they think, don't do that because then we're going to get punished in this way.
Action A has consequence A.
Yeah. So it's genius in a really evil way. The Panopticon style surveillance, because the inmates police themselves. In my story, they don't even know who the guards are. They've never seen them. They have no memory of them. They don't even know if there are guards in the tower. All they know is that they're punished when they step out of line. And as I started writing the story and I'm thinking about the surveillance in the Panopticon, I'm also thinking about surveillance in just my life and what effect that has. So, the car I got recently has cameras in it. It's taking pictures of behind me. It's how we do lane assist, and they're everything.
Did you get a Tesla?
I got a Hyundai Ioniq.
Oh, okay. The new the did you get the hybrid or the all electric?
The electric one, yeah.
Okay. Hey, those are so cool. Those are so cool. It's a freaking Hyundai. They're what? They get $450, something like that, to a charge.
I think the new ones do. Yeah, mine gets about $350.
Still not bad.
Not bad. Yeah,
it's a small little car.
Yep.
And they're surprisingly quick too.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's my neighbor has a Tesla. I want to race him one day because he may beat me by a little bit, but I'll hold my own. But yeah, so surveillance, like I'm an art teacher and I have a school computer. The district has software on there that they wouldn't call it spying. I mean, I don't call it spying, but they can monitor you, and there are corporate settings that
you're not going to the websites you shouldn't be going on,
yeah.
and
But and in some corporate settings will monitor your keystrokes for folks that are remote or even not remote. So there's all sorts of surveillance thing and all these social media algorithms that it's a form of surveillance. So like the amount of data that's out there about us and kind of watching us, not really watching Matt Stevens, but just watching the behavior of this is we've just come to accept it. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I think that a lot of surveillance is actually really good. Like we have a camera on our house we just got it like only a couple months ago, but for like as a doorbell. And I was kind of like, I don't love it, but
I love mine. I got them all the way around my house, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's become so ubiquitous. I mean, again, as a teacher, every kid in my class has a device. We make them put them on the wall, but every kid in their class has a camcorder. They have like the phone with the camera and like high def, the whole thing. So it's really become part of our society, and it's just very interesting to me. I'm not saying that it's all bad. I think probably it's more good than bad, but there are some pretty dark places it can go. And, that idea has just been interesting to me, and kind of fueled some of my like passion for this story.
Yeah. You're living when you get a speeding ticket in the mail.
It hasn't happened to me yet, but it's coming, right?
I've gotten one through the mail. And I'm
what state?
We were passing through Florida.
Wow.
Well, got it in the mail.
That's a brave new world right there.
For years. In Korea, if you speed in Korea or you commit a lane infraction or anything like that, they just mail it to you. You don't even know you did it until like if you accidentally turned down the wrong way because the sign on the road was faded and you couldn't see it. They just send you a ticket in the mail for going down the street the wrong way.
Wow.
It's not that much. It's only like, $10 or $12, but still.
Yeah.
If you're getting like 2 or 3 of those a day because you don't know, it adds up.
Yeah, I mean, does it save lives? Probably. Does it make the world a little bit safer? All these cameras everywhere. Maybe. Does it lessen crime? But what are we giving up? What sort of privacy and autonomy do we give up? Again, I'm not saying I'm not burn all the cameras. I'm just, always trying to find the line. Where is that line where it's crossed over to just 1984?
I mean, next you're going to tell me birds are real.
Good one. Yeah.
Oh, that one wrote itself. So do you think there's parallels between the worlds of the Panopticon and the world we live in today?
100%. Yeah. I mean, the Panopticon is kind of a condensed version of it, like a hyper version of it, hyper stylized version of it. I say that in the story, the prisoners can only do 4 things. They can eat, they can sleep, they can shit, and they can bathe. That's it. So there's a place to sleep. There's a cell. They all each have a cell. There's a pool that fills up once every cycle. There's a food dispenser that pops food up every, at mealtime. And then there's a place to sit. And then there's some toilets, like prison style toilets in the corner of the prison. That's it. There's no entertainment. There's nothing. And, that was designed on purpose when
Yeah.
I was designing the prison to keep it this hyper stylized form of a space that is surveilled. You know, they
Yeah.
can't do anything, and in their not doing anything, they're being watched constantly.
So, you sound like the life of a cat, man. 'Cause I saw the things my cats do right there: eat, shit, sleep, beg for treats.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the memory and identity and freedom within the story. So these prisoners have very limited memories of who they are. Why was this concept so important to the story?
Well, without giving too much away, things are not as they seem. It is a prison story. You know, I love a good prison story. You know, one of my favorite films growing up was Escape from Alcatraz.
So
Um,
good. Yeah.
Cool Hand Luke. Like I love these stories. I don't know. They're just very appealing to me. Scare the hell out of me, but
Mhm.
in a good way. And you know, I mean, not to get too deep, but I lost my mom to dementia, and
Yeah.
watching her um, lose herself over the course of a
Yeah.
decade uh, really had a pretty profound effect on me. So that's in this story too. Not to get too deep or anything, but the idea of memory and um, how fragile it is and
Yeah.
how unreliable it is, and um, if you can't even trust your own
Mhm.
memory, that's just a very scary place to be. So
Yeah.
it's kind of twofold. Uh, it adds, hopefully, it adds to the tension to the story, and the fact that no one can remember. But it also is it's a plot device because Itzhak, who is our main character, comes in and notices that while he doesn't remember who he is and how he got there and what his crimes are, he's curious about escape, where nobody else in the prison is. The other six prisoners aren't even talking about it, and
Yeah.
actually are kind of punishing if he mentions it. So his engagement with the idea of escape upsets the prison in some profound ways, and there are real big consequences to his, like, being kind of a fish out of water.
Yeah.
He figures, at least in part, out why they're having some memory problems, and that's part of the story. Um, and then so the larger part of this gets we understand it more in the second graphic novel,
Mhm.
why they're having memory problems. But um, that's not really revealed in this first one. But you said social experiment. It does have some of those parallels to
Yeah.
it. That's a really good take on it. There's some parallels to um, watching what happens when things are put in
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
No, it's such a fun concept. And what questions do you hope readers ask themselves while reading this graphic novel? Or like, I think I asked this question to everybody just about, and it's just like, from a creator standpoint and me as a reader, what would you like some of those things that you would want me to think about while reading this book?
Yeah. So the value of your memory,
Yeah.
the power of independence, which is taken away from these folks. And what I really hope is that hopefully people buy the second graphic novel as well. And as they read the second graphic novel and the lens opens up and they see beyond the walls of the Panopticon, and they understand a little bit more of who these people are and why they are where they are, that they're like, oh, I got to go back and reread the
Yeah.
first 88 pages because this thing that just happened is reminding me of a thing that happened in the 1st.
Mhm.
When I read comic books, I love, like Sin City, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
I've gone back so many times and reread those graphic novels, and
Same.
I get so much every single time, and I see new things, and I make kind of new connections between the characters, and there's a deepening in my like appreciation for it. So
It's
that's as a
amazing how deep that actually goes.
oh my
And how
god,
things start to really connect to one another. And you don't really get that in the movie the way you get it from reading the comic book. And you can't read the story one time either. That's like 4 or 5, maybe even on the 6th read through where you can literally probably go to a whiteboard and start actually connecting the dots that are actually there.
yeah. Yeah. And like I know Frank Miller would probably say the same thing. Like having people reread your stuff is really the mark of like
Yeah.
reading it is great, but if they are interested enough to reread and check their own assumptions and go find the Easter eggs that they think that might have been there, that's really the I mean, I'm the same way with movies. Not so much with books, like novels, but movies. I
Yeah.
am. I'll go back and rewatch
Watch stuff.
movies too.
Yeah, I do the same. And it's funny because I love, like, obviously, comic books are my jam and all, but let's say issue 15 of a particular book is getting ready to come out. I still have issue 14 right next to me. That way I want to go back through and read 14 real quick and then jump into 15, especially if it's one of those books that's only like a once a month.
Yeah.
And because so I can go back and be like, oh, okay. And then like you can then just grab up 15 and immediately read through it and start, okay, all right, they're connecting dots from over here and over here now. Cool. And that's how I do it. And it takes me like an hour and a half to read a 22-page comic book. So
yeah, man. Yeah, I'll do that. Saga's one of the ones I read pretty regularly, and
so good. So good.
I mean,
I was late to that, so I got the graphic novels of it.
That's what I do too. I get the trades.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a single issue dude lately, but
I love my single issues, but for some of the stuff like Monstrous, which is a beautiful book. If people haven't read Monstrous or Saga, Sweet Tooth is another one. Get the trade paperbacks or the hardbound paperbacks, whatever what it is. Actually read those. Those are so damn good.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about Dark Web. I don't know if you're a Letterkenny guy. Do you ever watch Letterkenny?
I know. No, I mean, no, I've seen clips.
There's if you get a chance, go to YouTube and Letterkenny, where the druggies do the dark web thing, and every time the dark web was mentioned, he'd go,
oh, now I gotta look. I don't know about this.
It was just
gonna come up again.
It was hilarious, so. But I'm a diehard Letterkenny guy, so I used to quote that like it was going out of style. It's just a fun show.
What I've seen is very funny, yeah. But I haven't like watched episodes. There's so much out there, but yeah,
you could literally just go to YouTube and waste a couple of hours watching the clips, and the clips are just as funny as the actual show itself. So, but tell us about Dark Web Comics and kind of how like that was born.
Yeah, so Dark Web. I mentioned earlier my creative partner Alex Robnet and I, he reached out to me in 2019, right at the beginning of COVID, wanted to make a this story. He was also new at writing comics. I was new at drawing comics, but I really loved his idea. Just I was firing my brain on all cylinders, just talking about simulated worlds and virtual worlds and psychology and the id and the ego, and it's also a procedural crime sci-fi story. So I we started that in 2019. It's kind of our COVID baby.
Mhm.
And, you know, like, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, what inspired? Like, tell us about Dark
Oh,
Web
dark web.
Comics
Yeah,
and
yeah,
kind of
yeah. Okay,
like
sorry.
what inspired that. Your own
Yeah,
path. You like,
yeah.
I don't know where you lost yourself on that, but you were answering the question.
I sorry. It's been a long day, but yeah. So digital pools. We're on our 10th
Yeah.
issue, and we needed something to house it under.
Mhm.
We have lots of stories that we're working on at different points. And so we just needed a name to kind of house everything, like an umbrella. And
Yeah.
Alex came up with Dark Web Comics, and I thought it was great. So it's, you know, not to make ourselves seem bigger than we are. It's just an umbrella so that when we
Yeah.
talk to people, we are Alex and I are Dark Web Comics.
Mhm.
You know, with dreams of world domination, but you know, we'll be
Don't we
fine with
all?
1,000
Don't
readers.
we all?
Yeah.
And it's wild to me, like 1,000 readers. That's a win any day of the week. I think as we as indie creators, we get 1,000 reads. Or I know for me, like personally, if I get 100 views on something, I'm like, shit, I just got 100 views on a comic book that nobody has probably ever heard of before, beside the two people who are currently talking about it and their closest friends and family. So
Yeah.
if I get 50, 100, 150, 500, I'm like, dude, I just won with that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that's success. I think people that are shooting for Marvel and DC, although I nothing but great things to say about them, and it's great. It's just
yeah.
never really been my goal. Um, uh, it's just sort of a different path. But trying to reach 100,000 or 1,000,000, 500,000, 1,000,000 readers, I just I don't know if that's what success looks like in
Mhm.
2026 in the comic world. It's it's like the NBA, and it's great, but you know, not everyone's in the NBA. So success to me doesn't. That's not
Yeah.
really. That's not occupying any space in my mind
Yeah. It's
to shoot for
really
that.
pulling what's in here and putting it right here for people to enjoy or to
Yeah,
discover. And to me, that's what this is about too. Like if somebody finds Matt Stevens because the USDN introduced them to Matt Stevens, I fucking won. At the end
yeah,
of the day, I take my small dubs and I take some big L's, but trust me, that small dub I get is going to mean a whole hell of a lot more than that
yeah.
big L I took.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So yeah, our goal is to get a reader base for dark web comics for our stories so that when Alex and I put something out under dark web, folks say, "Oh, that's Matt and Alex."
mhm.
You know, we're buds too. We're great friends, so it makes it uh really fun to I mean, listen, anybody out there, find someone to collaborate with. It's the best thing in the
Yeah.
world that you can do if you get the right partner. It's so much fun, and the the output that you can do with somebody who, where you're thinking
You share that brain, the
share the
same brain
brain.
wavelength. Yeah.
Yeah. Another podcaster called it a promance, not a bromance, but a promance, which I
Dude, if
liked.
it works, it works. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's dark web.
So you mentioned that the flagship dark web comic story is approaching its conclusion. What can readers expect from that?
So digital pools, it's a 12 issue story. We're just finishing up issue 10, and we're gonna finish up issue 11. Alex is writing issue 11 now. So we're gonna work on that through the summer and into the early fall. And our goal is to release the entire series in a couple different ways. But one of those ways will be Kickstarter
Mhm.
and making the whole 12 issues available. Um, so yeah, we have plans to release it on Macroverse, which is a really great digital platform that has a amazing comic reader that they've created. It's like
Mhm.
a one-click reader. you know.
Yeah, I know you had mentioned wanting to discuss that real quick. So if you want to lay out what that is to everybody right now, now's the perfect chance before we jump into talking about the Kickstarter itself.
Yeah, sure. So Macroverse, we've been working with those guys for a bunch of years, and they have an app, the Macroverse app. Really interesting sort of tap story reader. But then they've also built on their website an embeddable, a truly embeddable comic reader. So with the link that I could post anywhere, I probably sent it to you. If you tap on the link, it it it's one click and you are at the comic. It's not, there's no
Mhm.
pathway that you have to follow. You click the link, you're at the comic and it says read. You click the read button and there's page one. And you just
Yeah.
start swiping and reading. So it's very, very fluid and seamless. And the other thing that they're doing is building worlds on their site. So like dark web is going to have within the next couple weeks their own dark web comics page on there. So
Okay.
you'll be able to read Panopticon and Digital Pools and our other anthology story. Jimmy Palmiotti has just put his whole catalog up there.
That's a
Um,
big ass catalog too. I
yeah,
love Jimmy,
yeah.
man. Jimmy is so good.
Yeah, so good. Yep. So his whole catalog is up there in just beautiful. It's so worth it just to go look at
Mhm.
the experience there, the interface. 12 gauge is up there, and
Another good one.
yeah, and there's, it's not my company, so I can't say too much more. But they have some other
Yeah.
big names that are
Put them in
just
touch with us. We would love to have them on to us, kind of walk us through their what they do.
yeah. I will. I'll mention it to
Yeah.
him. I'll send Evan an email tonight. Yeah, he's a lot better at describing the platform than
Yeah.
I am, but it's
And I
worth it.
know I
It's
got
worth
the link you sent me to the free issue. Is that on the Macroverse?
That's Macroverse.
Okay, that's down in the description of this video. So
Oh,
I did
perfect.
include
So,
I included that. Yep.
oh, great. So anybody that wants to check it out, it's one-click reading, and you can read the first issue of Panopticon, the first 22 pages. Um, and yeah, that'll give you kind of a Macroverse experience. They also do some really great um, uh, badge rewards. So the more you participate in their ecosystem,
Mhm.
the more perks you get. And
Oh,
they've
nice.
got a pretty cool, proven track record of doing that. So the more you participate, the more kind of like perks they throw your way. So
Yeah.
if worth the checkout.
Oh, that's really cool. But let's jump in and talk about the Kickstarter and the crowdfunding of this book. It's in late pledges currently. Thankfully, I can still get in on this. So, how has the whole process been for you for the launch of this book, and like just how do you think the campaign performed overall?
I mean, I met my goal. With any new project, nobody knows who you are, and so
Yeah,
like you have
you
to
have to
get
make
out
them get.
there.
I said it last week. You got to make them give a shit.
Yeah, you have to like get them to know who you are, what angle you're coming at from them, how passionate you are about the project. And I think the campaign did that pretty well.
Mhm.
I feel like I got a nice foundation base of readers that are interested, and they'll get the book in a month or so in their hands. The book is done. It's, I've started to um, do the final layout for the printer, and
Yeah.
so that's going to be in their hands pretty quick. And late pledges too. If you jumped on a late pledge tonight, you'd be part of that group too.
Mhm.
So yeah, the Kickstarter was a success. It let me raise enough funds um, to print the books, and I've got some conventions coming up in the late summer and fall. Um, and so I'll be able to have some physical books for those.
Nice.
Um,
What
uh,
what cons are you going to be at this summer?
so we're going to be at IC3 in Rhode Island, which is an independent comic book convention. Um,
Nice.
we're going to New York Comic Con, but not we're not tabling or anything. We're just
Yeah.
we're gonna have our books in a book bag and hopefully do some
Yeah.
interviews with some folks and some live stuff.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully I'll see you there for that one.
I would love that, man. Yeah, that would be great. I'll we'll make a beeline for you.
Yeah, I'm aiming for that one this year. A couple local to me, and I'm also aiming for there's a I can't remember the name of it, but it's all indie creators. I want to say it's in Georgia this year, and I'm aiming for that one as well because that one's like an industry for independent comics. Like that's the one you want to be at or the one you want to go to, and I'm aiming for that one this year as well.
So IC3 is interesting. It's independent, all independent comics, and they do multiple cons in the year. So they were in New Haven last year. I know they were in Florida, and they do a couple versions of this all around the country. So I think their next one is Rhode Island.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I have it right here. It's in my my research that I was just doing. SPS, I think, is the one it is.
That's in Georgia?
Yeah. Let me just make sure for you. I don't want to give you bad gouge. Yeah, Small Press Expo. It's actually going to be in Maryland. I was off.
Oh.
So just down the road from you. And it's September 12th and 13th.
Oh, okay.
But it's pure indie comics and small press, creator-owned projects, publishers, cartoonists, Kickstarter creators. And it's just going to be like where the bulk of my guests would be. They should be at that one. And whether they've been on the show or not before or would want to be on the show later, this is one of those where it's a big one. And then immediately the week after that is Baltimore Comic Con, the 25th and 27th. I'm going to try to be at that one as well.
Okay, write that down. I haven't been to that one.
So that's two of the big ones that I'm planning for this year, and as well as New York. And then there's another one down in Greenville, South Carolina called SC Comic Con for the fall. And it's a one day, October the 25th.
I like a one day.
Yeah, me too.
Those 3 days, sometimes I need a week
to
recover.
I'm so worn out, like, because I end up having to burn PTO to go to these things if it starts on a Friday and I want to be there for opening. Yeah. So I have to burn like a day or a day and a half of PTO. And then I'm going to have to take at least a day, maybe two on the back side of it just to recover.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
And to just scrub myself because that's a lot of people to be around. And COVID messed me up, man. I still don't like to be around like large groups of people like that, and especially ones that are already notorious for not, bathing themselves and putting on deodorant very well. Which I hate the misconception. We're not all like that, people. I am like one of the cleanest people I know, and I But let's continue on about these Kickstarters and how this promotion went. So what kind of surprised you during this whole process of running this Kickstarter? So I'm guessing this was your very first Kickstarter for this book, right?
For this book, yeah. Digital pools, we I think we did 5. We've done 5 so far for that.
Okay, so you're not a complete rookie when it comes to the Kickstarters, then.
No, good. This was the first one that it was just for my solo project that Alex didn't write. So the lion's share of the work was on me for this one. But I mean, no real surprises. It was pretty smooth. I think for my next one, I'm gonna launch the pre-launch earlier, maybe as much as 3 months before, to build up the pre-launch notifications. I found that the people that signed up to be notified on launch. The conversion rate for those folks was really, really high.
That's
So
good, because usually those are the ones that are really, really low.
yeah, no, for at least for this Kickstarter, it worked great. Everyone who said that they wanted to be not everyone, but
Yeah.
about 70% of the people that said they wanted to be notified actually pledged and jumped on the campaign. So that
Mhm.
to me that was great.
That's fantastic, dude. I love to hear that, where it sold itself, right? Like you put it out there, it sells itself, and when they actually go back and once they get that notification, and that's what's great about Kickstarter. If you hit that notify me on launch, you're not just getting one notification from them. You're probably going to get that notification for the next 3 weeks every other day. Like, hey, by
Yeah.
the way, this launched. Hey, by the way, this launched. You haven't made a pledge yet. Did you still plan to pledge? So
Yeah, and if it's a project that you're interested in, that's a great thing because we're all so busy. Sometimes,
yeah, dude, I'm
sometimes you need like
100%
three
guilty of that.
reminders.
I have missed them, even though I know I got the notification, but I was so busy either editing or something was going on at the office at work,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh damn, I missed it. let me shoot them a message real quick and just see if I can't get in on it. And just be like, hey, can I just like Zelle it to you or something? You
Yeah.
just send it to me. My bad, dude.
Yeah, who's gonna say no to that?
Yeah, because I mean, I want the book. I've been excited for the book, but shit, life.
Shit, life, yeah.
So this being at this point your sixth Kickstarter, and it's cool that you actually helped out on the other Kickstarters, because I know artists who are just like, hey, the writer's on his own on this. It's cool that you were right there with him every step of the way with the Kickstarter. So that's kind of cool, and that you have that kind of 50-50 mind split on that other project as well. You didn't just say, I just do the art for this. I don't know what you're talking about. And I always like hearing that when the artist
Yeah.
and the writer, they hold 100% responsibility themselves. It's not just, oh, the writer's got that. I don't do that. You're like, no, I got you. I'm there with you. This is our baby. So
Yeah.
it's really cool to hear that and see that. But what mistakes do you think new creators should avoid when getting ready to either launch their book while it's launched or on the backside of it? I know that's a kind of an open-ended question, but I've seen probably every single thing underneath the sun on these things at this point. But what are some of the big ones that you think people should avoid?
I can only speak about like I don't know if I would put this into the advice bucket, but I can just speak about how I think about things, and maybe it'll be useful to somebody. But for me, the books need to be done before the Kickstarter starts, or at least they need to be 90% done. It shouldn't
Or at
just
least be able to show that it's a real thing about to happen. Because I've talked to creators who, if the Kickstarter didn't fulfill, that book wasn't going to get made. So I've seen both sides of that story,
yeah.
and I've got the results sitting on my shelves in places.
Yeah.
But no, I 100% agree with you. I do wish they would be done before it went live, and you're just trying to make that money to justify, to spending that money that you just spent. But no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you on that one. But
No, I mean it's like it could work for some people. I just for me, I'm gonna make the comic. I'm making the comic because I want to make the comic,
Mhm.
and then for me, the next step is to get readers and get it printed and get it out into the world and have people read it and get feedback. I think a mistake would be just as an artist to say, once I get enough money, once people pay me, then I'll make the comic. That just doesn't connect
Yeah,
with me as a person.
yeah,
But again, that's just I can only speak about it from my point of view. That I guess that could work for some
yeah.
people. Like I'm also in for Panopticon. I'm doing all of it, so
Mhm.
I don't need to pay myself. And for Alex and my project, it's 50-50. So we're, Alex, it's he's not hiring an artist to draw his
Yeah.
thing.
It's
We're
two friends working together.
we're collaborating on a thing
Yeah.
that we live and die by. So
Mhm.
that's just how
Yeah.
that's how I roll. That's it solves a lot of it stops a lot of problems from starting.
And it lets you have a clean conscience at the end of the day in case something doesn't go right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've seen both sides of that coin, and I understand both sides of the coin. So I'm a neither here nor there on that particular one.
Yeah, if you got to
Um,
hire an artist,
yeah,
then that what I'm saying makes no sense. If that's where your project's at and that's how it's
Mhm.
going, then what I'm saying doesn't make sense. But for how I want to operate and create stuff,
Mhm.
that's really the only way I know how to do it.
So I'm about to ask you a very important question, and I think it's one of the biggest things when you're launching a project to have in place. How important is audience building before launching a campaign?
Huge, yeah, huge. Yeah, like the biggest thing. It's honestly it's the reason why this is probably my 8th podcast in the past couple months. Like it's the reason why um I'm out there talking about it, to just there's so many people doing so much cool stuff,
Yeah.
uh and I like to think that I'm one of them. So just getting it out in front of people and um putting it out there in front of people, but I don't think Kickstarter is the place to get readers. I
Yeah.
think Kickstarter is the place to bring folks. Be like,
Mhm.
you bring them with you. Be like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Come on, and
Yeah.
here's where we're going to do it. You know, I I'd say maybe 25% of the people that pledged on this past campaign went. There's analytics in Kickstarter, so you
Yeah.
can see about it was only about 25, maybe 30% of the people just found me on Kickstarter. Most of
Yeah.
them were from social media and digital pools readers
Mhm.
and my local comic book shop folks there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Kickstarter is a
That's
place where you
still a
you
pretty darn good number. That 20 to 25% of discovering it on Kickstarter. That's still
yeah.
a really good number to just be discovered on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think so. I think that speaks to the quality of the
Yeah.
story.
That's a good Kickstarter page. Because when people discover that, there had to be something on that page that made them go, oh, let me check this out.
Yeah.
Whether it was your description of the book, the art, do you have a video? Like,
Yeah.
all those things. Like I always tell people, I'm like, you need to have the following things. You may
Yeah.
not necessarily need a video of your comic book, but it sure in the hell doesn't hurt it. And on top of that, it better be a really damn good page at the very
Yeah.
top of there to sell that book, because that the art and that description is going to be like what grabs people, and they're going to go, "What is this?"
Yeah, and I think
So
Kickstarter people are smart. They if they get a whiff of inauthenticity or
oh
just
yeah,
like, you know, maybe I'll make this if you give me enough money. That I'll see that sometimes on
yeah,
Kickstarter. Then I think
yeah,
those campaigns don't really do much. I don't think.
no,
No.
no. And I've seen campaigns fail that I thought were going to be fantastic, and I've seen some that surprisingly funded, and I'm like, I don't know how that funded, but
Yeah,
okay, sure.
I just
It
backed
found
one.
its audience, right?
Yeah, I just backed one last week that didn't didn't uh, didn't get funded, and I was so
Yeah.
disappointed. I really wanted to read this story, so I emailed the dude. I was like, "I'm sorry, your thing didn't get funded. It's not because it wasn't cool, dude. Like, I'm telling you right now, it looks really
it was
great.
the front end stuff that he probably could have took an extra week or two before launching to help build that audience beforehand. And every single one that I've seen fail that I personally have known and followed, they failed on the social media front. They either front load really well and then die off.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle. And then that's a nonstop. That's start to finish. If you're not on social media, pushing your stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe even pay for a campaign for a week. Like, hey, I'm going to push this hard on Instagram for a week. I'm going to take $50, $100, and I'm going to promote the shit out of this. It's going to be in your face. You're going to have no choice but to see it.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to. You don't have to, but it doesn't hurt. And if you can budget it, then I always recommend, if you can push it. Boost that post on that comic book, on that Kickstarter campaign, and let it ride.
Yeah, especially for a new project, when you're just building your reader base, getting people kind of jazzed about what you're doing. Yeah, it's all hands on deck.
Mm-hmm.
I have it. The second book is almost done. I'm just pages. I mean, it's like I got 85% of it done, so I'm going to finish it up this summer. So that's going to be coming out. Panopticon, the Chasm, so it's volume 2. That's coming out at the end of the summer.
You want to talk about that now, because I had that closer to the end of this.
Oh yeah, sorry. Jumping ahead.
We can jump to it, but I want to get through this like a kind of a state of indie comics, and it's something I like to discuss with everybody who comes on. And it's kind of like, what has you excited right now about indie comics?
That's one of the cool things about Kickstarter, is that people that are just, buying the comics and not behind the scenes, there's a lot of behind the scenes communication between the indie comic book creators that have campaigns going on at the same time as you. So, I had a couple folks where in my updates, I would include their books, and in their updates, they would include just a kind of a shout out to my book.
Such an awesome community.
Yeah, it really is. And everyone's trying to help everyone out. Yep. So people may not realize that we're kind of connecting to each other behind the scenes and helping each other to get their books out there. And every little bit helps. And they're all just such great folks making such interesting stuff. My only barrier is money at this point. I back the stuff that really speaks to me, but there's no shortage of good stuff out there.
It's hard to draw a line sometimes, and I got bills, but I also want to back this project over here that's phenomenal. Yeah, it's just you gotta make that hard decision. I better pay my electric bill.
Yeah, and you got to find the project that speaks to you at that time. So they're not, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I feel like my book there's an audience for it. There's people who like space, sci-fi, prison, dark, mystery, mystery box stuff. So that's who I'm writing the book for. It's not for everybody.
And if it was God, we would all be rolling in cash right now. But what are some of the challenges that you see creators facing right now, outside of money, of course? That's an easy button.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people looking for eyes on the thing that they're doing. And so it's easy to get, it's hard to get yourself out there. I mean, not impossible. It just takes work. And I think that's the biggest obstacle that's, and a lot of it's cool stuff too. I'm not saying it's bad. not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but the amount of AI stuff I see of
Yeah.
like these little hyper polished, beautiful
Yeah.
little clips of animated things and like commercials and it, it's got that kind of shininess that AI has.
Yeah.
And when I'm on social media, when that stuff comes up, it leaves me a little cold and like
Mhm.
just I don't like that it's taking up space. It's
Yeah.
there's no real
There's no emotion to it. There's
yeah.
no, the human touch is missing from it.
And I'm not anti AI. I use it all the time. I think it's a great tool, but as far as image generation and video generation,
Yeah.
I'll eat my words in 5 years because they're gonna find a way to make it authentic. But I don't know. Something about it right now is just
Yeah. No,
I
I
don't
mean,
think we're quite there.
I always have seen things. If it's a tool that I can use, I'm going to use it 100%.
Yeah.
However, recently it's just been a pain in my thorn. Anytime I generate a thumbnail with AI, somebody has a issue. I'm like, guys, I'm literally a content creator.
Mm,
I generate a thumbnail for clicks.
mm,
Clicks lead to you getting clicks. But hey, if you don't like it, cool. I'm going to swear off of this stuff for now
mm.
and reassess in a few months, see what the difference is between my thumbnail styles. And that's the phase I'm in right now. Is okay. I won't generate these thumbnails just to see what kind of clicks I'm getting versus with or without.
Mm.
So I'm hoping I'm proven wrong 100%. I hope that the thumbnails that I'm generating, on my own, making them by hand. That's why I'm asking for all these extra things all of a sudden. I really hope those do better than the AI generated thumbnails.
Mm.
So we'll see. But for now, I'm not going to do them. It's a social experiment, just like the Panopticon.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. Because again, at the end of the day, content creator, I want to generate clicks for myself and for the creators that are on the podcast. And if AI generated thumbnails related to the topic of you and your stuff generates more clicks, then why would I not use that tool to generate more clicks for you, which could lead to more sales, more follows, more everything at the end of the day? Because that's the point.
100%.
I generate clicks for you.
That's a great use of that tool. I think it's because you're not making artwork. You're creating marketing and branding for the thing that you do. I think that's a perfectly appropriate use of AI.
I thought so too, but here lately I've had just one too many people go, I don't like this. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We're all entitled to our opinion. I will change for now.
Yeah.
However, I'm not changing permanently. I'm calling it a social experiment, right? And I don't know. By all means, I want, my regular thumbnail that I created in Canva to do really well. I wanted to generate clicks and drive sales and do all these things that my other thumbnail was doing. Because people don't realize I spent more time generating a perfect thumbnail that I was proud of versus hopping on Canva and creating a thumbnail in 10 to 20 minutes. It took me longer to create that other thumbnail than it did this man-made thumbnail, because I want it to be like this spot on great thing. And but hey, we'll see.
Hey, my 2 cents is that's a totally valid, appropriate way to use it.
I thought so too.
You're not creating original artwork. You're marketing and branding, and I don't. I think that's
what I do.
Right?
Is I market and I brand. I generate clicks for the person on the podcast. I'll drive people to the links, to their Kickstarters, to their social medias. That is my job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As a content creator, is to have you on, ask these great questions, have these great conversations, and to generate clicks for you. And I think I've gotten that down to a pretty good, I think I'm really good at it. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not saying like that's the narcissist in me talking, my ego talking, but I may have done this for a little bit now, and I have this thing in place where, so, but yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I don't care either way. You know what I'm saying? I can take 10 minutes, generate a thumbnail in Canva. I could take an hour and a half and generate this great, what I think is this great, AI generated thumbnail to generate clicks. Doesn't matter to me either way. As long as the clicks are happening and books are getting funded and people are wanting to come back on the podcast to talk about their projects. That's all I care about at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but yeah. But one more for you. What advice would you give creators trying to build an audience right now?
Gosh, I'm right in the middle of it. So, I mean, like reaching out to everybody that you can find, and get in front of people and talk about your project. If you don't care enough to do that, then it's not gonna really go anywhere. I'm very proud of Panopticon. It was a year-long project, and I just genuinely really want people to read it and provide some entertainment for folks, and get that sort of feedback loop of people getting invested in your project and looking interested in the next thing you create. So just saying yes to any sort of opportunity you want. Artists sometimes have a hard time putting themselves out there. They want to make the thing. I'm guilty of this too. They want to make the thing, and then just the fact that it exists, people are going to flock to you, and that's not how the world works. So I made the thing. I'm really proud of it, and reader by reader, I'm gonna build a reader base. I think if they read it, they're gonna want to read the next one. So
that's the whole goal, right? If there's a plan for more down the road, you want to that first one has to leave that lasting impression and make that impact on them to go, hey man, when's that next one coming? Yeah. And that next one is called Panopticon, the Chasm.
Yes.
And that is nearing completion, if I'm not wrong.
You are right. Yeah.
What can readers expect? Any breadcrumbs there for us?
Yeah. So this Panopticon, the first one, takes place in a single chamber. I actually created a 3D model as I was writing it of the prison. So there's a 3D model on my iPad, and I created the cells, I created the tower, I created the pool, the tables, everything, and that's how I composed the scenes. I just moved this 3D model around, and I would use those. I'd take a shot and use those as reference. So all the spaces and distances in the comic, if you read it through that lens, are accurate. They're actually like it's 100 feet away.
That's legit.
It's like a real space, and I hopefully that comes across. But but Panopticon only takes place in this single chambered prison. We don't see outside of it for the entire story.
That was actually a question I was going to ask you earlier, but then I wanted to see it for myself, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only reason I didn't ask that question earlier is I had it on here, but then I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the book, and I just want to see for myself.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I kind of envisioned it like a play. You know how like
Yeah.
a play just takes place on a stage. As I was making this 3D model, I was like, this is my stage, and this is where this 88 pages is going to take place. Panopticon, the chasm, the lens opens up. We see beyond the walls of the prison, and we understand that the prisoners have there's a bigger story attached to who they really
Mhm.
are. So again, I don't want to give too much away, but everything is not as it seems. Everyone is not as they seem, and there is a larger story.
Yeah.
The lens opens up, and we learn more about who they are as people. And then this is a trilogy. I'm starting the third
Ooh,
88 page
yeah.
story that's going to wrap it all up. I'm going to start that this fall. And in the tagline that I have for that is that you know, search out your gods and see what comes in their place. I'm still working on it, but
Yeah. No,
um
I like where you're going with it, though. I'm
yeah,
like, I see where you're going. And I'm like, I
yeah.
like this. I like this.
Yeah, so the lens just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and by the end of this trilogy, we'll see actually what's going on.
Dude, I love stories like that.
It's like, did you see the Star Wars Andor?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Probably my favorite one.
me too. Yeah, I just couldn't say enough about that. But at that the end where we understand that the prisoners are actually building the Death Star. They're building
Yeah.
pieces of the Death Star. Am I getting that
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
That twist that had such an impact on me. And there's some of that in this story, that feeling of like, oh,
Yeah.
there's a whole bigger world out there that we
I was
hadn't.
going to go with the parfait line from Shrek and Donkey Talk because parfaits also have layers. Because when
Oh yeah,
Shrek's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm an onion. Onions have layers. He's like, so do parfaits. So because you're starting in the middle and you're kind of like you're working your way out on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So sorry,
so
they announced
that's
Shrek
good.
5. Okay, so that came to my head all of a sudden.
I'm gonna use that actually. Yeah, that's the story is like a parfait.
Dude, I love it. If I contribute anything, it's the story is like a parfait.
That's it. Next podcast.
Dude, that's phenomenal. I love it, dude. But let everybody know where they can find the Panopticon Dark Web Comics and Matt Stevens.
Okay, so I have a great website, panopticoncomic.com.
It's a cool
On there,
website.
yeah, you can uh there's some well, you can buy the book. You can head over to Kickstarter and buy the book. You can also make an inmate. I made an inmate creator,
Yeah,
and so you can pick a race, you can pick features, and build out this character. So it'll be kind of a collaboration between me, who made all the individual pieces, and you, who makes this inmate. And the inmate is going to be a previous uh, prisoner from the Panopticon that has previously been in the prison. So I'm hoping to build out eventually hundreds of these former prisoners, and I think there will be all sorts of interesting ways to include some of them in the story moving
mhm.
forward.
Dude, that would be so
Um,
cool.
yeah, and um, in after you make it, you can save it down to your computer as a file,
Mhm.
and in that file there's a little token which will let you redeem certain badges and perks on Macroverse. So you'll be able to scan in this tokenized ID inmate and get all sorts of kind of cool
Mhm.
perks. And I did some of that on the Kickstarter too, where people were able to make a character and redeem it for extra stuff on the
Yeah.
Kickstarter. So panopticoncomic.com, and then our imprint is thedarkwebcomics.com, and there you can find information about the digital pools and Panopticon and our other story, Ghost Division, which is just idea right now, but Alex is working on the story.
I like the name though.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's what I'm thinking about, that would be like really cool.
So Ghost Division is I'll just give you the 25-cent version of it.
Yeah.
In World War II, there was an actual Ghost Division, which was an American unit that their job was to create disinformation. So they had audio things that they would do. They had big blow up tanks that they would position, and they were just trying to trick the enemy into thinking things were happening that weren't. So it was all sort of subterfuge and psyops. Yeah. So Alex's story takes that basic idea and puts it in the far future and imagines what a Ghost Division would be like in the far future, what sort of tools they might be using for their psyops. So super excited to get started on that.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I was almost right. I was thinking like not necessarily on the military side, but maybe on the like cop side of things. Only instead of it being normal cops, they were like military cops, like ghost, like para.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, but hey, that's cool too.
Listen, Alex is gonna watch this, so I don't know. He might take some of that.
Hey, no, cool. Go for it, man. Go for it. But Matt, thank you for joining us tonight, and I want to officially welcome you to the Council of Nerds. For everyone watching, be sure to check out Panopticon, support Late Pledges campaign, read issue 1 for free right now. All those links are down in the description of this video. As always, make sure you follow Panopticon and Dark Web Comics. Again, all links are available in the description below. Matt, again, thank you so much for joining us on a Thursday evening and sharing the Panopticon with us. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, the council is adjourned. And as always, this has been the USDN Podcast, where indie comics come to life. Y'all be safe. And if you're getting a long weekend, definitely be safe out there.